Good morning on day 3. Woke up here after a really good night at Meadow Springs Campground. However, I've had a really bad sinus headache most of the morning. I did just take some ibuprofen, which is another thing I recommend you bring with you on these trips, especially if you are an older person like I am, because you can't just leave and go to the store, and sometimes those headaches just won't go away. I'm gonna make some coffee here real quick, and then afterwards be packed up and heading on to the next place, which is just before Elkona Pond. No dams to portage today, no ponds to cross, but I do have 18 miles. However, I did 19 to get here yesterday, leaving at around 8 in the morning, and had to cross a dam, pond, and go over the dam and portage a dam, which all of that was slowed way down. So I think today's 18 will be almost nothing. River. Moving pretty quick, and hopefully it does that when I get out. So actually, another really interesting thing that I've really enjoyed about this campsite until about now was the lack of bugs. Even last night there was next to no mosquitoes, but here I am having my morning coffee, and it seems like they have found me. So I'm going to finish up my coffee here and be on my way, start packing up and be on my way. All right, I have decided that I'm going to finally film this elaborate bathroom at this campsite. Because for some reason, best campsite, worst bathroom. It's not the worst I've ever had to deal with, but just to give people a heads up, I think it's kind of funny that the reason why I decided to film it is this is the third time since I've been here I've had to use it, and you can guess that a guy in the woods by himself would only come use the outhouse for one reason, so it's kind of a bizarre to have done that 3 times since I got here. So I'm going to flip the camera around. You can see what we're dealing with here. Just a cement slab, a little wooden walkway. And when I say there wasn't a lot of bugs at this campsite, well, we found them here. The really interesting thing is if you come in here at night, you can take a shit while you look up at the stars. All right, I'll get back. So I just got loaded up. We're back on the river. I will be not stopping to rest tonight till another 18 miles. That is where I actually have a campsite reserved. Getting up here we're probably in the next 10 miles. You come into an area where there are boat-in only national forest campsites that you can reserve depending on the time of the year. So I have the next 4 nights I am going to be staying at them, and that's going to be an interesting thing because I will for certain be the only people at those sites, because it's only one group site rented to one person. And if someone's there, well, we'll have words and they'll have to leave because I paid for it. Well, I guess maybe if they're friendly, they could stay. But especially if they have beer. If they have beer, they can stay. because that's something that I wish I had one or two of along this trip right now. My next waypoint, I believe, according to my map, is Connors Flats boat landing, or Commons Flats. Connors Flats we already passed, or maybe it's the other way around. I can't remember. A lot of similar names up here. But that is right around 2 miles. And it is about 9:30, maybe 10 o'clock. I'm not sure. So we'll see how long it takes us to get there. I was wrong. It's not 9:30. It's only about 5 minutes after 9. So that's just a check-in so that we can, or that I can keep tabs on how long it really takes me for each stretch or area. Again, right now, like, I'm moving along really, really well, as you can see. And, you know, spinning around. Might have to work a little bit because there's some trees coming up to what was my left, because now I'm completely turned around again. Hey, look at this. Here we go. But again, this is just a fantastic part of the river. It's really wide. You can get out in the middle of it and just kind of drift and not really worry about paddling that much. And I'm going to try to straighten up a little bit here because I see those trees coming. This is definitely an area that would be prime to, if you were going to do a trip like this, to just kind of fish as you were coasting along. And I may do some more of that today like I did yesterday. But I think I am going to wait until I get more towards an area where if I catch fish, I'm going to plan on keeping them if they're big enough and cook them up for dinner. And so we'll see how that goes. Good chunk of this area that I'm going through right now is all national forest. I mean, the whole river follows through national and state forest, but there's also a lot of private property that kind of juts in and out in sections. Although where I'm at right now is all predominantly national forest for the next good while, unless I'm mistaken and things have been bought up. But the map I have is kind of old, but it mentions this is all forest area. Hoping to see some wildlife as I'm going down around through here. That being said, this is national forest. You could pull over here and camp wherever you could find a spot for the night if you're taking a trip like this. However, as you can see, the banks aren't really suitable. Maybe that spot up there, but the grass and the weeds are so tall. And then you pan over to this side and you got just such ridiculously high banks that getting yourself and your gear up them would just not be a pleasurable experience. So these are things to keep in mind. And kind of one of the things that I had thought why I was glad I stopped at Meadow Springs, because if I'd have pushed on, I might have had to make it to the next campsite, which would have been Cathedral Pines, which is quite still a long ways up. These bugs all over the water, everywhere. I mean, they're not bothering me, but they are just screaming around, and you know the breakfast buffet is open for the trout. No wonder why there are so many of them through here. It's choose your own adventure time. Right side looks a little more obstacles. Left, pretty open. But it seems to be pulling me to the right. Let's see what happens when I get up there. I was letting it pull me over to the right side, but as I was getting over there, I realized the bottom started to get really shallow and it was dragging the bottom of my kayak. So before I got pulled into it, I hightailed it over here, fearing that if it got any more shallow, I'd have a repeat of the other day where I got stuck in the middle of an area and had to get out and walk it. But it wasn't the river area, it was a part of the damn pond. I think I filmed that, but I couldn't find the footage yesterday. Wow, there's like part of an old dock that I just hit. I'm curious if you heard that. It was under the water. Interesting. Well, I guess I should get back to paying attention to where I'm going, because I'll turn in. You can see. Oh, look, actually I'm going to miss it without a problem. That is really what I'm loving about this section of the river. It's just taking me along, and I'm not moving slow. Currently, until I start to see for sure within miles how much time I'm making, I'm not really going to worry about trying to rush. I did 19 miles yesterday, ported a dam, and crossed the damn pond, and I was at my campsite by 4 in the afternoon. I did start an hour earlier, but still, even if I get to where I'm going by 5 or 6, I mean, this is summer solstice week. We got sunlight till 10 o'clock. I'll have easy amounts of time to get a camp set up and spend some time gathering firewood if I choose to have a fire tonight. Large family of geese, or multiple families of geese, with all their little babies. It's something I've seen a lot as I'm going through here. Another reason it's been a good time to do it. Man, I'm dragging bottom over here. I'm coming up on, I think this is that Commons Flats landing. I'm going to turn my camera around, really catch all these guys. Alright, I'm going to get myself out in the water. So that was Commons Flats that I just passed. And all these geese are going with me for the ride. They're just out living their best life. There's another group of them about the same size just back by the launch that are just kind of coming out now. So somehow we have done 1.5 miles, almost 2 miles already today, and I'm not sure how long it's been, but I guess I should have looked. I can look right now, time wise. All right, so I did look at my clock. I'm sure there's a bunch of millennials and younger And probably even some Gen X people that are laughing at me for not necessarily knowing how to do that, or at least not wanting to fiddle with it while I'm floating down the water. That was, like I said, that was Commons Flats, which was around 2 miles away from where my campsite was. And it is 9:45, so it has been about 45 minutes, give or take, since I left. So just floating, barely even paddling, we're doing over 2 miles an hour. That's something to keep in mind if this is a trip that you'd want to do. At least I know this section I want to do again. I'm contemplating probably doing the whole thing again, is my guess. And maybe starting a little further, either starting in Grayling proper in town, or starting on the South Branch and meeting up with the main branch later on. So passing through, it's been a while. A good section here of man, I'm starting to drag bottom. Private property everywhere I look. It's actually less now, but that side's owned. But it's house on top of house. I actually just saw a sign on somebody that had they had a little pier that said no diving off pier, private property, no swimming. And that just kind of made me chuckle. Like, I can understand the pier is up on shore. It's something that you own, but you don't own the water. And if I chose to stop and swim there, I had half a mind to do that. If I chose to stop and swim there, you can't tell me I can't. I'm in the water. You don't own this. You own the land adjacent to it. But I can also understand people's getting probably pretty upset about people jumping off their pier. That's a different scenario. I am moving really quick and turning around, so I'm gonna have to stop filming for a minute. Choose Your Own Adventure number 2 coming up. River's looking pretty wide and pretty deep just about everywhere. It is spinning. Man, it is spinning me around a lot, but that's okay. I'm going to start paddling before I come into shore here. Just a few moments ago, we passed Federal Site 4291, where you can camp. I believe that's something you have to have reserved. I'm not for certain. Sorry, I just got to straighten up here a little bit. But it is directly a lot of private property, like some of the other sites that I did run into. Not at all like Meadow Springs last night, where even though I could hear some noise here and there off in the distance, so I knew there had to be some houses not far, I couldn't see them and they couldn't see me, and that makes a big difference. Federal Site, I checked my map, and that was around 4 miles, a little bit over, but not much, from where I launched this morning in Meadow Springs, and it is 10:30. So we have done 4 miles in an hour and a half. So we're probably doing close to, I don't know, I'm not going to do the math, but probably close to 3. I'm not a math wizard like some other friends of mine off the spot, but I'm coming into some trees here directly ahead, so I'm going to want to paddle out into the middle. And remember that 4 miles that I've done, I really haven't done a lot of paddling today. I'm just kind of letting it take me a little bit here and there. If I hit a dead spot, I've paddled or straightened out and gotten back into the middle. Got an eagle hanging up out in that tree. Oh, where'd he go? There he is. He's just chilling out looking at me. He doesn't seem too concerned. Wind's blowing me around, so I'm having a hard time getting a good look at him. First section I've seen in a minute that's been getting back to private property, or excuse me, what looks like national forest property. I haven't seen any markers or houses in a minute. So I stopped to pull over and take a break and get my feet in the water and cool off. It's actually just an amazing day already today. First day it was very overcast, not real large amount of sun, even though I still got sunburn on my legs because I didn't have any sunscreen at all on. Yesterday most of the day was overcast, but by midday the sun came out and it was very, very nice. But today it's already a hot one at 10:30. Sun's been really beaten down. Get a little more overcast starting to, but it's warmed up already. And poked around a little bit here on this nice little area where I could pull over, and definitely found some deer tracks. So this is where they're coming along to get a drink. I'm hoping once I get back into the water, maybe I can spot some of that again today, like yesterday and the day before. Oh man, that dude in that power boat still, man, he ruined that one. That deer was almost close enough for me to really get good footage of it just walking out, and he didn't seem to be caring about me. But when that motorboat came out of nowhere, he was concerned about that. No sooner did I mention it, and there is a doe right up there. It was right out in the middle, but I think I spooked it. I think it heard me, and it just walked up into that patch of grass. I don't know if I got zoomed in close enough for you to see it getting out of the water. When I get a little closer, I'm going to see if it's sitting up on shore. Alright, so I checked the map when I looked at, went right after we passed Cathedral Pines, which was just a few moments ago, and that would have been around the 5-mile mark difference from where we launched in Meadow Springs. So this section of the river is just really, really easy. I've done, it's coming up as 10 to 11. So I've done 5 miles in under 2 hours. So that's about a 2.5 miles per hour when I'm really mostly just drifting. I'm just correcting a little bit here and there, or if it's great. This is definitely a section that I think most people could easily handle. So it's hard for me to get close enough for you to see them, but and know where they're at to zoom in. But up through this whole section, there's been a lot of little areas where little springs and creeks are flowing into the water, And really probably what attributes to how fast the water is moving through this area is you got a lot more areas where water is joining up. But again, everywhere since I've left Mayo, I mean, not that the rest of the trip has been bad, but a large chunk of going through Mayo Dam Pond and getting over the dam was not necessarily great, but it's been smooth sailing and just incredible ever since. Coming up on Davis's rest spot. I don't remember the mile markers for that, but I remember seeing it on there. Really all it is just a little place where you can come up, tie up your kayaks, maybe swim for a little while. There's a bathroom, I believe. Even though I'm back out of private property and into a large chunk of national forest, there's a lot of national forest areas that I've passed that are all pretty close to each other, including the Davis's rest spot. Cathedral Pines was not that far back. As far as how long it's taken me to get to those places, it's around 11 o'clock right now, and we're just kind of drifting along. I have been paddling a little bit, but now that I'm back into an area that's moving pretty solid, I can take a break from that and just kind of move along. It is just, man, look at the bottom too, if you can see it. I don't know if the sun's good enough, but the bottom is just, it's rocks and then grass. It's beautiful. It's amazing. This is also, there's not, I'm definitely getting into, like, there's a lot of areas. This is not the best example, but I have seen some that would just be fairly easy to pull over and tie up your kayaks or canoes or whatever and disperse camp for the evening. Hammocks is probably the better option for things like this out in this area. Then you don't have to clear any ground space for a tent, from brush or anything, or try to set it up over top of tall grass. But there's definitely been a number of little areas that have been cleared up a little bit where you can at least get in there. And man, look at this coming up. Wow. And again, I know I've been saying it on a lot of these little clips, but this area is next to no effort, and I'm still pulling over 2.5 miles an hour. So with that, I'm gonna, oh look, I was about to say I was gonna straighten up, but it's doing it for me. Thinking it shall be. Oh wait, no, it's not. I'm coming right at that. I should straighten up. Morning, guys. How you doing? Well, enjoy yourselves. Have a good day, all right? Just another example of how fast I'm moving along here. There's the shore. Bye, shore. See you later. And for the most part, too, it's kind of taken me where I need it to take me. Coming into some really beautiful high banks areas. So this section of the river, I think it's also pretty close to a road, I'm not sure, on the one side, would definitely not be very campable. And then the other side is a lot of boggy area. You can't really, it looks okay, but you get back in there and that's very marshy. Not really easy to walk on. I think I'm about to run ashore, so I better stop. There's a really good example of an area that would be kind of awesome to just pull over and disperse camp. Looks like there's potential of somebody set some logs up, but can't quite make it out. But flipping over to the other side, not so much. A lot more deadfall. Banks don't, I mean, it looks like you could pull up a little bit there, but still looks pretty difficult. If you had a hammock, you could make it work over there a little bit better. Still haven't used my hammock at all. I've got it tucked away in my dry storage area of my kayak. So I've been thinking about waiting on that anyway and just leaving it where it is, because we have some potentially really bad weather coming in the middle of the week. And so I'll just keep using the tent for right now. And then my kayak or my hammock will be there all safe and nice and dry if I should need it after the bad storm rolls in. If it actually happens, I'm really just kind of hoping that they're wrong. So day 3 has been going pretty amazingly. Not strenuous at all on the river. Very beautiful. I only had that one section of private property there for a little while, and I haven't really seen much of anything other than campgrounds or landings. Seen a couple staircases just leading up the hill. The very old staircases. Doesn't look like they even really go anywhere anymore. Not sure. But got some impending danger coming here. So, oh no, I'm pulling out of it. So, well, I'm going to straighten out anyway. Okay, so that is McKinley Bridge, and it's behind me as I'm drifting past it. McKinley Landing was right before that, which is about the 62-mile mark. I started at 71-mile mark at Meadow Springs today. I've done 9 miles, which means I have I'm halfway with what I have to do today. And really, again, haven't really been paddling all that much. I hit a couple areas here or there where I have to. And other than that, you know, pick it up from there. The 53-mile mark approximately is where my campsite is. And here's a shot of the front side of the river. Actually, some good scenery right now. So I am gonna get back to it. And man, another great day. Got a shot of it for a second, but that's another one of those little springs. Not quite as impressive as some of the other ones. Right here coming up on my right, I turned around so I could catch it, is what looks like a pretty awesome little place that you could pull over and camp. There are no trespassing signs, so either that's just a dispersed camp that people have used over and over, or it's one of the National Forest ones that I don't see a marker for. I am taking a short minute and just letting myself drift. I have been kind of paddling pretty hard for a little while. When I stopped at McKinley Landing. There were some folks there that were getting ready to launch their tubes, and I did see them come right after I started filming stopped filming the last time. I saw them come out from around the bridge, but I had a good lead on them. I wanted to make that lead even bigger in case I decide I want to pull over and like take a pee or something. I don't want them to come out around the corner out of nowhere. Plus, I've also thought that the weather is so great that the sooner I get to my campsite today, I think what I'll do is get my stuff up onto shore, and if the weather's still really nice like this, I'm gonna take a really long swim because it is warm. It is pretty amazing, let me tell you. Well, we're coming up here. That is Buttercup Campground. That's a pretty popular one. From what I heard, it's pretty comparable to like Meadow Springs or the other campsites that like Cathedral Pines. We are knocking the miles down. Yeah, I said we, get over it. We are knocking the miles down today. Especially since I started paddling, but I'm gonna stop for a while and let it go. I think there's definitely enough of a buffer between me and those tubers. They launched at McKinley Landing. My guess is they're going to 4001 Bridge. I did that tubing trip with Okona to Canoe and Tube Rentals back when I was 18 years old, believe it or not. So, 22 years ago. Yeah. Not 22, 32. Wow. My math is amazing. Remember I mentioned I'm not a mathematician earlier. I'm going to blame it on the fact that I've only had a few snacks and not a lot of caffeinated beverages today. Well, I did have a lot of coffee, never mind. Yeah. But my head is in a lot of other places. For instance, this river that's ahead of me, that's literally just taking me right along with it. I am knocking the miles out today. I do not remember offhand what Buttercup Camp's mileage was, but I am doing very well, and yeah. one more amazing choose your own adventure. I think I'm going to stay with what appears to be the natural flowing way down the right side this time, and see what happens. Appears that this is the really shallow side, so hopefully I don't have to get out and push and drag bottom anywhere. So far I'm moving along. The remnants of someone's fire pit from a dispersed campsite. I think that the next time through here I might consider doing that through this section, although the campsites that I did run into were pretty awesome. Way up there by that down tree is something that is splashing around. I can't quite see it right now, but I think it might be a deer. You can't tell what's showing up on this camera and not. It's so bright out here. Yeah, if it was there, I think it's gone. Coming up on a marker for the Gabions campsite. I do not see any good spots. There might be one right when I get around this bend to access it from here. Oh, yeah, it looks like there might be something right there to pull up and then walk in, I guess. It's another National Forest campsite. Mayo Ranger District. Not sure how far back it would be. I'm not gonna check it out right now. The clouds are starting to look a little threatening, and from here I think I got about 2 to 3 miles before I get to my campsite, so I'm gonna try to just keep moving as much as I can so that I can, if this rain happens, the storm moves in, hopefully I can get my tent and everything set up beforehand. Some really wonderful high banks to look at over there. I am going to get back to paddling though before I get pushed into that. There's actually a staircase leading up to the top of that. I think that might be the high bank scenic overlook. I am coming into a mess though. This has been a really rapidy area. I mean, it's moving, but wow. It's a couple times I hit a rock underwater and I almost went over. So I am going to straighten up and pay attention. There goes an eagle that doesn't want to wait for me to film him. And I'm going to film this now because, again, we're coming into some rapids. But that is going to be the 4001 bridge. There's a landing on the other side. I'm not going to be stopping. All right, that is the 4001 bridge. I am not going to be stopping. I am going through some pretty strong rapids right now. I hope I don't hit anything while I'm filming. I should be paying attention. Oh, shit. But I'm not going to stop at the 4001 bridge like I had originally thought I would. But my camp is only about 1.5 miles, I think, if I'm not mistaken, past that. So I'm just going to push on and try to beat this mess, because it doesn't look like, if it happens, it doesn't look like it's going to be fun. All right, I made it to my campsite. I will turn the camera around and show you. Hard to find, but luckily I didn't pass it. I was kind of afraid that I would. It was marked with a post, but you really can't see the post until you're like right up on it coming around the corner. I was able to see that there was a little bit of a pull-off from a while back, or what looked like would be a pull-off. And I said, well, that is most likely where we're going, so I'm gonna try to get close to that. And I was right. I do hope that the rest of the sites I do head up are also marked, but that's for another day. Until I'm gonna get my kayak pulled up and tied up, and then I'm gonna start setting up camp. All right, got the main parts of camp set up. Got my tent right there, facing the old water when I lay down, and sun comes up right there, so that should be an interesting sight for tomorrow. I will hopefully get up and catch that happen. Maybe have my coffee while it happens. This is a pretty awesome place so far. Not sure how long since it's been used, but somebody left me some remnants of some very big pieces of firewood and some trash, which I will burn up for them, except for I don't know about that aluminum can might not go, but we'll make sure. And I think the nice thing is having those big logs, because if I get a little bit of kindling to get them going, I think I'll be able to have a decent fire going for a while without adding anything to it, or at least one that I'll be able to sit around and enjoy for a little while this evening. Looks like they were burning up these stumps that they were using as seats as well, but eventually I think they changed their mind, got them away from the fire, realized how long it would take for those to burn, which is a long time. But in the meantime, it is really, really warm, and I am about to take a swim in that there water and clean myself off to the best of my ability, considering it's day 3, and I have not showered since Saturday. This is 3 o'clock on Monday, and I know I'm still going to stink when I come out of there, but I'm going to feel a little bit better. Believe it or not, no matter how hot it is in here, I couldn't bring myself to fully go in the water. I was about pits deep, and it took a while to get there. But I definitely splashed a lot of it up on my head and face and cleared up a lot, which is just, I can't begin to tell you how much better it feels. And during that time that I was doing it, a lot of shade moved in over here, which helps. I am going to tear out my fire maple stove and my dehydrated meals, and I think I'm going to go ahead and try one of the ones that I would have been having for breakfast if I had breakfast this morning. But like I said, I've been really just giddy up and go. I did sit for a little while with a cup of coffee, but I didn't want to screw around that much more time to make the breakfast as well, even if it is just adding some boiling water to something. And I'm generally, like, I'm not ready to eat yet, you know, but so when I do a trip like this again, that will be the change, is I'll bring a lot more Cliff bars or breakfast bars or Nature Valley granola bars or something like that, and beef jerkies and stuff, and just kind of have some coffee in the morning and then get on the water and just do snacks as I have some snacks readily available, and do those as I drift along, and when I get to where my camp is, stop and make some dinner. But at this point, what I'm going to do is a late lunch and then probably a dinner after that. And, hopefully I don't have the same scenario that I did at the last camp of having to take 3 dumps, 2 at night, or one at night and 2 in the morning, because, I'll be digging 3 holes then, because there is no bathroom at these sites. Unless I stop at one of the actual campsites, which I don't have booked, if I'm just using the single sites, which I am until I reach Old Orchard on Friday. I do not see another campsite that has a bathroom until Old Orchard on Friday that I'm staying at. I will pass a couple of them that have either flushing toilets or outhouses. Like tomorrow morning, as I cross Alcona Dam Pond, I will go through Alcona County Park, which has a couple areas with shower houses and bath flushing toilets. I might, depending on how time is and the weather looks, and I might swing over to that side of the lake or pond and run up to their bathrooms. But I do know that the longer you wait with the ponds, they're usually pretty calm and still in the mornings. And if you screw around and you take too long, they start getting really choppy and wavy, which is part of what I was running into at Mayo Dam Pond. It makes it a lot more difficult to cross. I do actually really hope that I get a few minutes to pull into Alcona County Park. I have a big history with that campsite. I grew up going there. Some other family members used to joke that I was conceived there, and friends of the family used to joke about that. And mathematically it works out, given the times that we usually would go up there every year, and the time that I was born. And I went there several times a year for several weeks of summer every year from the time since before I could remember. And my mom says that she was holding me in her hand, and in a crib the first time we went there. So a lot of feelings for that place. A lot of the water that I'm going to cross tomorrow, I am familiar with, and the pond, portaging the dam, I am familiar with. I've never had to drag my gear and a kayak over it, but we used to boat over to it, and from where we would camp in Alcona County Park, and walk over, and then fish in the river on the other side. I do know there is a good area for me, like it's not going to be like Mayo, where I had to pull up to some concrete steps and the water's very deep and try to get myself out but not let go of my kayak. It's not going to be like that. It has a nice landing, not a place that you can launch, but a nice landing that I can pull up onto and get my gear. Excuse me, and get my gear. But I also know that after that, I have to go up a pretty good hill, through a parking lot, over a road, and then down a pretty big hill to get back to the river. So I'm really hoping that my cart works better than it did. I'm okay if I have to carry stuff over and take it off the kayak, but I really need it to be able to at least wheel the kayak better than it did. So, yeah, that's definitely another thing that I will be replacing before I do another trip like this, at least, is I will get a better, more reliable cart. And, well, also I'm going to buy another really nice paddle for replace the one that I lost yesterday. But all in all, this has been an amazing trip so far. Turning around so you can see all this while I talked. Just an incredible time. This is going to be a wonderful place to stay tonight. I'm very fortunate to have this opportunity to be able to do this and to live this dream. And fulfill something that I've kind of wanted to do since childhood. So, with that said, I'm going to turn this off and go get some of my food. All right. At 4 in the afternoon, I made my breakfast. I just want to try to eat up some of these breakfast packets that I have. Get the fuck out of there, fly. This one is a Ready Wise breakfast skillet, and we'll see how it tastes. I still got to let it cool down a little more, I think. Having yeah, the sky's pretty blue at the moment, but the wind keeps picking up and then dying down and blowing the clouds over me, but it's like every few minutes we get some kind of threatening looking clouds coming in. I definitely feel that I will probably end up with some form of storm either today or tomorrow. If it happens once I hit camp and I'm set up somewhere, I mean, it won't be fun if it's a bad storm, but I'll get through it. If it happens while I'm out on the water, it's going to really suck. Just no good ways around that. It's going to suck. So, all is beautiful right now. Got out there, campfire kind of erected and ready to be built. It's not a lot of deadfall as far as like little twigs and things to pick up around here, but I do have a saw with me, and right over there behind us are 2 freshly down trees. Nothing you can really break off, but you can cut it up. I got another little pile right there. Kind of stopped after a while, got tired, and just figured I can cut up more later if I need it. So, but it is not far away. Just watch that guy fly in from across the river on my campsite. He is just chilling out there. I wonder if he can see me over here. I had to see if I can zoom in any further. That appears to be it. They're not as rare as they used to be. See them a little more often nowadays, but still kind of nice. I don't see him now, but no sooner did I turn around from filming that heron, and a huge turtle popped its head out of the water. I mean, its head probably was the size of my fist. I think he's down there still. I'm going to try to get around. I think I can see him. Yeah. If he was, he is gone now. Didn't notice this on these trees when I got here. I'm trying to figure out if this is like something a woodpecker did, or if people did that, or if not, what animal did. My best guess is woodpecker, but it just seems really uniformed. Interesting. I was down by the river filtering some water just a second ago, and I saw a swan chasing a goose in air, and those two were moving so fast, and I don't know what that goose did, but I think that swan was going to kill it if it caught it. And it was not far. They both came around the corner so fast and went by me. I heard a noise at first, like a buzzing, and I thought maybe it was like, it almost sounded like, I thought for a second it could be like a guy slowing down a trolling motor on a boat. It was, when they came around the corner and they dove down, and actually, I mean, within feet of me. Really remarkable. Obviously that happened too fast to even consider catching it on camera, but I just wanted to mention it because I'll have the memory when I watch this back. It's really kind of remarkable that it's every little bit of wildlife that I've caught. You know, the raccoon, the deer, an eagle. I'm trying to think of a bunch of different types of ducks and geese. Every little thing that I've caught on film or on camera, there's like 5 to 1 that I missed. So I mean, there's just so much happening out here. Every time you turn around, there's another thing. But I'll tell you what there isn't. At this particular site, the last time I saw people was on my way in, probably about 2:30, coming down the river. I'm at Site 5C, and there's some people on the other side of the river that were on Site 2 something. I don't remember, but they were a ways down. But I kind of came a little closer to shore and talked to them because I asked them if they were familiar with this site and if they knew where it was and if it was hard to find. And they had said they'd been up here a lot, but they'd actually never been on this site. Funny thing, he said that he wondered, he'd been coming up here for years and had wondered where this site was. But anyhow, I'm going to maybe cut up just a small amount more firewood before it gets dark. It's almost time to start the fire. And as you can see, the clouds behind me are still kind of in this weird, dark, threatening, but I'll switch, and right over there, it's blue. Perfectly blue. I don't really know, if it's just going to keep drifting over. It's kind of been like this since probably about 1 o'clock. It seemed like when I was on the river, the clouds were chasing me for a while, but now they're just splitting up the sky. All right, I'm going to definitely go cut up some of that wood. Yeah, I thought there was a 2-track for a minute behind me or something. I heard something buzzing back in the woods, like sounding like an engine, but it sounded kind of like a small like dirt bike or something, or a dirt bike revving real slowly. And I was sitting there, I'm like trying to figure out what it was, and it passed away. I walked through the woods a little while and didn't see anywhere it could be driving. And then I came back to camp and I sat and it started getting closer. And I just realized it was a damn drone. Damn drone just went overhead. So I'm curious if he's going to come back. I'm going to flip it off if it does. I mean, wow. Yeah. Oh shit, there's something across the lake. Let's see what that is. It's brown, whatever he is. I think he saw me and tucked away. I know he wasn't a bear. He wasn't big enough to be a bear. I think he was a beaver. And he was coming out right on that log. I don't see him now. He might be showing up on the camera, but again, it's hard to tell sometimes. Back up a little. Huh. There goes that drone. There's that drone again. Yeah, you're filming me, I'm filming you. Yeah, if you happen to run across my footage of this and you were up at in Alcona County filming this area right here. I'll back up a little bit. On June 16th, 2025. Yeah, let me know if it was you. I'm curious. Trying to get actual, like, there we go. These bugs, it's insane. I think there's some kind of mayfly, I'm not sure. I mean, they just came out of nowhere and they are everywhere. They're all over, like swarms of them. But the thing is, here, I'll pull up. They're not coming down here and even coming near me. Like they keep going up and down, but they stop at like maybe 8 foot and go back up into the sky. This is pretty amazing thing. I'm not sure what I'm witnessing, if this is a fairly normal activity or if this is like breeding time for them or something. I'm gonna try to get more footage of this just because it's so incredibly overwhelming. It is really hard to express. A lot of them aren't even showing up on camera. I'm zoomed in and these things are just, it's like they are having the party beyond. Like this must be their Saturday night out dance party or something, although it is Monday. Wow. Wow. So, not sure if I'll end up sharing this portion of the video or if I'm just putting it down for my own use. But start off by saying, I had originally taken this particular week off to attend a spiritual retreat festival that I used to go to quite often for most of my earlier 20s. And then I wasn't able to go to it for a long time due to money, and then after that due to time off capabilities. I couldn't get the week off, and then COVID happened, and I couldn't go because of that. And I had got this week scheduled off and was planning to do that. I had it scheduled off back in February, and during that time, I was also laid up at home from having a broken ankle that I broke at work. And I decided that I also wanted to do a trip like this. And I was planning it for the fall. And the more I started to think about it, the more I started to think about how much I really wanted to do it. I became not certain that about my vacation time in the fall, even though it was approved, just due to some different things that are transpiring at work. And for whatever reason, I just didn't want to put this off. I wanted to make sure that I was able to do this year. It didn't have to wait. And so I decided not to go to the festival and to come here and do this by myself. And I was really also hoping, as I was planning this, that this would be some kind of spiritual thing as well as just, more than just camping, that I would have some spiritual moments. And I most certainly did today. As I was just paddling along, or actually drifting and really letting it take me, I had a lot of free time to think and just watch. I didn't see a lot of people today at all, really, even on the river. And I've seen none since I've gotten to camp at 3 o'clock. At the other camps, people would be passing by on the river or at the campsite. This is pretty awesome to be this quiet. And so I had that as I was just drifting along, and I started to think a lot about how this trip has been already and how amazing it is, but also, how absolutely difficult and actually very hard and actually not really enjoyable trying to get over Mayo Dam Pond, and just thinking about that. And then I started thinking about how I would be going across Elkona Pond tomorrow, or coming up, bright and early, and knowing that it would be a little bit easier because I know the pond, and thinking about all of the times that I'd spent up there as a very young kid and through my early teenage years. And even really when I come to think of it, I've gone up there and done some solo camping and a couple trips with friends. But I don't think there's been very many years that I wasn't there at least once, even if, and a lot of the past years, I just drove up, or I was in the area and I drove through the camp and looked at the water and just kind of had a moment. And every time I'm in Elkona, I kind of have a weird heavy heart feeling at some point. I think reflecting on a lot of those times, and how they were some really, really awesome times, and then some really, really awesome times and some really, really awful times as well. And it's, again, thinking about the trip that I'm taking now and how great it was, but how awful one part of it was, and just really reflecting on how, you know, some of that I'll still remember as good. It's kind of just the thought that not everything is all bad and not everything is all good, and sometimes the very, very best things are still a little bad, and the really, really bad things are still a little good. And I started thinking about that, and putting it in reference to like people I've known in my life and people I've experienced, whether it's been relationships with girls or family members or friends, and thinking a lot about a lot of different people. And it was really something. I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit I was actually like just looking at the sky and floating down the river, and I had tears in my eyes. It was really kind of overwhelming. But again, I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is part of the trip that should be included, but who knows? Maybe I'll leave it out. Either way, I'm sure I'm going to turn the camera on again tonight because it's still kind of early. But other than that, I'm going to turn it off for now.